ready?
No.
3, 2, 1, let's go. Hello and welcome to Stories of Search with me, Rachel Winehold.
And me, Erin Dempsey. And you might notice that it isn't just the two of us, we have a guest appearance. Would you like to introduce yourself, guest?
Hello, I am Lani Knox.
And Lani is here because this is a very special episode. We're doing a little Q&A. Lani's going to fire some questions at me and Rachel. We're going to have a chat about search and other things that are in her bank of questions that I'm not entirely sure about.
Mm-hmm.
So enlighten us, Lani. Just let's dive straight into it.
Let's. I've been preparing for this moment my whole life.
Good, welcome.
Okay. So, first question is for you ladies. What came before search engines?
I feel like I'm on mastermind, do you?
Yeah.
That's what I was going for. I'm going to keep this tone of voice for the entire podcast.
Liar. What came before search engines? So we have actually talked about this when we were talking about the kind of the size of search engines and the history of it.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came for a search engine was actually a spreadsheet. So in the olden days, and we're talking about in the 1980s, which is the olden days,
my God.
the internet was just a handful of websites that were essentially on an intranet. And it was manually updated onto a spreadsheet. So every time you went and somebody went and put a new page or post or something on the web, they then had to go along to the spreadsheet and manually put that in. So that if people wanted to know what was on the internet, they could then go to the spreadsheet and have a look through it and find the page that they wanted. So yeah, it was a good old-fashioned spreadsheet.
It was like big yellow pages.
A big yellow page, yeah, and that very quickly became unmanageable, and that's when search engines, as we know them today, were invented.
I would love to know what people were searching in the 80s. Like,
Would you?
how wide are the widest flares?
That's easy.
We did. Well, we had rah-rah skirts in the 80s, and a lot of rah-rah skirts and leg warmers. Yeah.
Were they just skirts worn by rah?
Yeah. I was a big fan of the rah-rah skirt. Listening to my Kylie Minogue album.
Oh, cool. So on board. Right, you ready for the next question?
Yeah, fire away.
Okay. Do you know, because I know, what the most searched sites are?
Pornhub.
Yeah.
You're not far off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most searched website year on year is YouTube, isn't it? Is that the highest?
Or Facebook?
I know Google's up there.
Google is
The highest.
highest, yeah.
Googling Google.
Yeah, well, YouTube and Facebook are also top 3.
Right.
Pornhub, for all the horny buggers out there, is 6.
Yeah, I knew it.
You've got Instagram, of course.
Yeah.
Wikipedia,
Right.
of course.
Is this in order? So Winston, Instagram and Facebook are higher than Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then Reddit, which I honestly don't know what Reddit is.
Reddit is
It's like a forum.
it's a forum. It's an amazing cesspit of humanity. It's Reddit.
It's a dark place on the internet. We were talking last week that I bet if we looked at those statistics, I don't know, next year, that Reddit would be higher because Google is showing a lot of Reddit results on the search.
I've clocked that, but I've just, maybe I tell a lie. I've been on Reddit.
You know,
Yeah.
you know already.
Without even knowing what
So
that was on.
Hannah, other colleague at Grow Traffic, she loves a bit of Reddit. She's
Does
a
she?
massive Reddit fan, yeah.
Okay.
Because Reddit is where quite a lot of the sort of meme culture that we have today that exists on social media platforms actually originated. So Am I the Asshole? That originated on Reddit. That was a Reddit forum.
For any just podcast listeners, that went straight over Lani and Erin's heads.
I think Reddit is like our Tumblr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
like memes and stuff. But yeah, that list of sites doesn't surprise me actually.
Yeah.
No. Apparently, in June 2024, monthly there is 132 billion searches for Google.
Wow.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mental.
Well, it's quite. I mean, again, a lot of people have Chrome as their default browser, so they go onto their device, they load it, Google comes up by default. But we were saying before, a lot of people don't, so they actually go on. They don't know how to change the default browser. It might be Microsoft Edge, so they'll then go on that, and Google Google
Yeah.
to get to Google.
Some settings are only, how many times we're going to say Google in this?
Yeah.
Some
Try to say that really fast 3 times over. Google to get Google.
Yeah, Google.
So many things are only Google. So I know I use a Mac, so my default's Safari. If I want an image search, I would need to Google for them go on the image search. So I'm not surprised that a lot of people are doing the same thing.
Wow, your life sounds hard.
It is, well, that's another episode.
Right. Are you ready for your next question?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. What is Google? Just to bring it up again, circle back to that one, shall we?
Yeah. To be fair, it comes up a lot in
Yeah. What is Google doing that other search engines aren't?
Getting good results,
Okay.
basically. Google started in 1997 after Sergey Brin and Larry What's-His-Face wrote a paper in 1996. They were Stanford University graduates, and they wrote, this was when there were people who were first graduating from the spreadsheet to search engines, and the first ones were like Ask Jeeves, and Yahoo had a bit of a search engine, but they were essentially just organising content. They were saying, this is the content that there is out there, that's all of it. It wasn't in any kind of sense, they weren't ordering it in any kind of logical way. And Google came along and said, there's so much of it, it's growing so fast, we've got to start giving people better results, better search results, and putting it in some sort of order. And one of the ways that they said, well, how are we going to do that? How do we in California know whether or not a website is good, or whether the people who've written that website know what they're talking about? So they came up with backlinks. So they said, a backlink is essentially a recommendation. If somebody is linking to that website, they're essentially giving it a little bit of credibility. So they're saying, this person knows what they're talking about. Just like going to burst into hysterics for a second. This person knows what they're talking about, so therefore we can trust it. So therefore, extrapolate that out. The more links into a website somebody has, therefore the more reliable that website is. And that's where backlinks came from. They were the first people to do that, and all of their search engine has been built on that ever since.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so they were the first people to do that. So in terms of what they're doing, nobody else is doing that. They then were the innovators.
So the
Across
trailblazers.
most of it. Yeah. And until, as we spoke about in the last episode, until they've sort of a little bit been overtaken by the AI revolution now. But everything that they did first, they did knowledge bank first.
Yeah.
They did images first. You couldn't search images before Google came up with that. So yeah, the most J-Lo was good. Yes, exactly. Yeah, J-Lo in a dress at the Met Gala.
Right. Okay.
We're both in denim, I've just realised.
Oh yeah, matchy.
Double denim.
You didn't get the memo, did you, Lani?
No, they don't treat guests very nice on this podcast, apparently. Right, okay. Well, you kind of skipped ahead and answered a few more of my questions.
Oh, right, sorry.
Without even hearing them. It's fine. I'll ask them again. Okay. So, how does, in very layman's terms, Google find the answer to your question?
Okay. Google works like a giant filing cabinet. So what Google does, when you put something onto the internet, Google will come along and crawl it and say, I know what that's about that thing. I'm going to put it in the filing cabinet drawer with all the other things about that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it remembers that. So first of all, it knows vaguely where it needs to look straight away. That's how it does it very quickly. And then it will order it. Have you got a question later on about ranking? How does it rank? Different ranking factors.
That might or may not be my next question.
Okay, well in that case, that's how it does it. So it has a bot, and the bot crawls it, and then it categorises it, and it keeps all different bits of information in the set places so that it can very quickly go and recall it and find it and bring it to you.
And how does Google rank their results pages?
Okay.
There's loads of things that come into ranking.
Yeah.
So, a content update that Google launched, the helpful content update, was, you guessed it, about looking for information out there that was helpful to its users. So this filing cabinet is massive, and like we said in an episode, I can't remember which one, so much of it is dead. So many of those articles have just fallen to the back of the cabinet. So Google ranks websites that are viewed a lot, that are constantly updated. So whether they have a blog or the page copy or whatever, it's constantly updated. It's constantly providing Google's users with new information and information that isn't out there anywhere else. There's loads of back-end things, so things that we do as SEOers, meta, alt tags, it's about making things accessible. Google's really in on making the websites, the internet accessible, which is why we do that kind of alt tags for people that use screen readers. So there's loads of different ranking factors to a website. There's loads of different things that go into a good search engine optimization campaign to make websites rank. But ultimately, that's how Google ranks its website. It goes through the filing cabinet, and the websites that hit all those big, tick all those big boxes are put at the front, and that's how it pulls them up.
And up until recently, the SEOers are a very, very geeky community. Just a little teeny tiny bit. And until recently, there was sort of arguments about how many ranking factors were there. Were there like 150 or 200 or 250? And a couple of weeks ago, actually, there was a leaked Google document. The Google algorithm was leaked. In inverted commas. Again, that's a whole other rabbit hole we could go down. But there turns out there's several thousand ranking factors actually that Google uses. And Google's been a little bit sneaky about this. Obviously, it doesn't want to give away every single ranking factor because then someone else could come along and go, oh, well, we'll just do the same thing.
Oh, right.
But so it needs a competitive edge. But there are lots and lots of different things that Google said for years, like, no, we don't care about that. No, we're not bothered about that. No, just make great websites, just create great content, you'll rank. We're not bothered about that. And then we look through all this stuff and it's like, oh, you are looking at that. You naughty little boys.
Yeah, I remember when I started at Grow Traffic and one of the first things that you said to me is that we just do all of it.
Yeah.
Because even if Google comes out and says, oh, we're not looking at that, and we're not looking at this, we've had an update, we don't care about that, they will. And something will come out and come back in again and be more important at one point, less important at another.
Yeah.
And you just said, we'll do it all.
Yeah, because it changes constantly. And what's most important changes constantly. At the time that we are recording this data has been leaked. I'm interested at where we're at when this episode actually comes out.
Yeah.
And what data has actually been leaked. But that's a tough question to answer because it's different every time. There's so many rankings.
And this is it. They'll say things like, we're not looking at text that's in bold on a website. Don't bother putting things in bold. Doesn't matter. Don't bother underlining. It doesn't matter. And then 6 months later, we are looking at that.
Yeah, we've been looking at it all.
Yeah, we don't actually care about that.
That's what I'm here for, to answer the hard-hitting questions.
Absolutely. But also it's about future-proofing because it's not just about we don't believe a word Google tell us, which we don't, but it's also about the rules that they're using now will be different in a year. So if we just do everything to best practice and don't try and be sleazy and don't try and con it and don't try and find a cheat way around, just build good websites, then we're future-proofing the websites for whatever changes are coming.
Yeah.
Perfect. Even if that's the abolition of search engines.
We'll get to that. Right, okay, your next question is, and this one I've been interested in the whole podcast, obviously, but this one blows my mind because I'll enter some right rubbish into the search engine search bar, just gibberish, and Google understands it.
Yeah.
So how has Google evolved to understand our language? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
I mean, the short answer is that Google's pretty much read everything that's been written over time. So Google started it wanted to scan every book that had ever been written for the good of humanity, so that we all have access to books. No, it wasn't that. It was so that they could, understand all of human literature and how we communicate. And then it developed Google Emails and Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets, so that it could keep an eye on it. What it wants to know is gather all of that data. How are we talking? How do we write? How do we communicate with each other? How do we talk? And it uses that to develop its algorithms. And so at one point, we were saying about this before, weren't we, in another episode, like at one point, if you wanted to find something, you had to use the exact words that were in that thing that you were trying to find in the exact order, because Google didn't have the intelligence or the sort of nuance to understand it any wider. Now, because of large language learning models and big data and the development of the algorithms and all that stuff, it has got so much better.
Yeah.
And so now, I've used this example before, but you can say to your device, like, am I going to need an umbrella tomorrow? you haven't told Google where you are, you haven't mentioned the word weather, you haven't mentioned what day it is now, but you're understanding that it will, what you're asking is it going to rain tomorrow in Bake Up, on Saturday or whatever.
Yeah.
And it understands it because it's got all of that context and all of that nuance of how we use language, and it's just evolved that over time. And now we've got AI coming into it, it's going to develop even more.
And AI is not there yet. I know we're going to touch on AI later on, but AI is not there yet. If I was to put into Google, like, I don't know, what should I have for my tea? It's going to give me, like, and a southerner would say, what should I have for my dinner? An AI bot, I bet, in fact, I'm probably going to be proven wrong and go, I bet AI starts giving me, like, recipes for Yorkshire tea bags and stuff. It's not got as far, like, Google knows how I talk. So if I say, what am I going to have for my tea? Google knows where I am, it knows my lingo, it knows. AI is a little bit behind on that.
Yeah.
And AI is going to probably not understand the difference in, like, dialects and languages and things, because it's still learning, it's a little bit behind.
But it'll learn quickly.
Oh yeah, it'll be there. By the time this episode's out, I'm going to be proven wrong, but it is a little bit behind.
So true.
Yeah.
Because I've lived down south, and there's the constant thing of, like, what is dinner? And it's just like, is it lunch? Is it tea?
It's your midday meal.
But I think that's a really good point that deserves repeating. That thing about it understands you, it learns you, and so it understands. It doesn't just understand the nuances of English. It understands the nuances of your English. It understands what you do and where you are. And so if you are asking, what should I wear tomorrow? It's probably going to know. It's looked in your calendar. It's going to know you're going to go to a wedding. So it'll be like, I suggest you wear this nice dress.
And the kind of things you've bought online before.
Yeah.
Like if I said, what should I have for my tea? I bet it doesn't throw up 1,000,001 mushroom recipes because it knows it's like devil's pork.
Yeah,
it knows
it
my behaviours online.
And if I looked for a black dress, and Erin did a search for a black dress, the black dresses that we were shown would be completely different because it understands quite a lot.
Styles.
Yeah, because it's collecting all of our data.
It gets me. It really gets me.
Erin feels understood. I feel threatened.
Well, this kind of nicely leads on to the next question that I was going to ask. Is like, how does it know? Well, I think we've kind of touched on this, but how does it know to finish my sentences and what I'm doing? And is that very much in the whole thing of like the big data thing? It remembers everything.
Yeah, and it's not just about you. It knows what other people are. So like, if you were to say like, so I have a Frenchie, and often I Google what the hell is wrong with my Frenchie because she's an absolute nutter of a dog. But if I was to say, why is my Frenchie, ... like it would say, I don't know, shitting in the house. Why are my Frenchie's ears standing up? Like, it knows because other people in my little Frenchie community are asking those things.
Right.
So it knows me, but it also knows where that search is going because it knows what everyone else is. If I say garden party, obviously I've been Googling garden party a lot. I don't know why.
You got that. Just obsessed with garden party.
I just love a garden party. But it knows it's going to say garden party outfit, garden party games, garden party like ideal weather. Because so many
not
people...
garden party plants, not garden party, finger sandwiches.
It knows me, and it also knows the other people that are in my little community and what they're searching for. Because these searches, how many searches did you say are happening? Like, it's like 2 trillion a year or something ridiculous that we can't even get our head around. Think how much data we are giving to that search engine.
Yeah.
All of these people are saying, I'm asking for this. That's why Google has people also ask. You can ask one query, and on that search, like on those results pages, are all like leading questions because it's like, I know what you're going to ask next.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with this.
Absolutely.
We're feeding it.
And also, just that sort of touches on when people are always saying that, why is it always listening? Why does it know what I'm going to search for? That's big data as well. It's not that it's always listening; it's that it knows it knows that the three of us have now been together in this room, so it will look at what you've searched for, and it will look at what you've searched for and what I've searched for. And so if I started to do a search now for, what is suitable for it's probably going to put garden party, because it knows that Erin's been looking at that. It knows there's a good chance we've been talking about a garden party.
That's right, because that's the key to the question I've always wanted to know. Because I always think, even if I've not necessarily put in like a keyword, like say I want to Google how could be anything.
Yeah.
But say we've been talking about Simon Cowell, and I want to know how old is Simon Cowell. It was the first thing that came to my head.
I used to
have a Simon Cowell calendar. Anyway.
Now you find out these things about people.
So like daddy issues to
This is actually my expose. No, and it would come up how old is Simon Cowell. I think, what? How did it know that? But it's because it will know.
It's everywhere now. It
knows. It's again big data. It knows roughly what the probabilities are that we're going to talk about things. Because you do, don't you? If you've just Googled something, or you've been watching something and then you've been Googling about it whilst you've been watching it. Like for example, we were talking before about when you're watching telly programs, and then you're Googling the actors whilst you're watching it.
Yes, always.
Yeah. So, but I've not told Google what program I'm watching, but it will know because I've Googled this collection of actors. It will go, oh, she's just been watching that on Netflix. And so the chances are then that I'm going to, when I get with my friends, talk about that thing. So next time you go in, it's going to go, do you want to know about this thing that she's watching? Yeah.
Another question. Yeah. This is not a listed question, but if I've accessed Netflix through Google, does Google then know what I'm watching on Netflix? And then if I'm on my phone on Google and search,
Google probably knows what you're watching on Netflix before you access Netflix through Google. Like, it knows your behaviours. This is why
it's Gossip Girl.
It's Bridgerton.
It's Bridgerton.
This is why when I sit next to my boyfriend's phone, I'm going, engagement ring. Because it's his phone to listen to what I'm saying as well.
You need to be looking up those things, sharing photos with your friends, talk.
TikToks we send to each other.
Yeah,
absolutely. Every way that we connect, our work group chat, like we are probably more often than not, one of us will send a TikTok into the work group chat. Rachel's seen it on Instagram, you've seen it on Facebook, I've seen it on TikTok, Chloe's seen it on YouTube. We've all seen it because we're all talking about the same shit at work. So when we get home and we go on our phones, those search engines are giving us the same information because it's like, I think you're going to want to know about this. I think you're going to like this. Like,
and it's right. A lot of the time it is right.
And that's not just Google, that's every search engine. That's TikTok, that's social media.
It's so funny trying to get something off of your algorithm though. For God's sake. I don't care about this anymore. Anyway.
Phone call.
I still care. Right, okay, this question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest update that has changed the search engine game?
Great question.
I suppose that's a sort of subjective query, isn't it? A question really, isn't it? Which is the biggest update?
I mean, I've been in this career 2 years, and my biggest has been the helpful content update. Because it changed the requirements of producing content. So, like we could churn out content left, right and centre, and we can kind of we could steal blog titles, and like now it's looking for something more, so it's changed the way that I now approach like producing content. I can't just like get all my research together and blah blah blah. I need to look what's out there and then fill in the gaps.
Forcing us to be better, isn't it? It's back to how copywriting actually used to be like that, like right at the very beginning when I was doing copywriting. That's what it was. You had to produce content like that, and then we all got a little bit lazy when it was just churn out content, as much content. Word counts reduced. We were just like, just content bash. And now we have to go back to that. Is it helpful? Is it useful? Is it saying something unique? Is it relevant to the?
And is it not already out there? You need to almost like earn your place in that filing cabinet, which is why Google ranks you. You've earned your place in the filing cabinet. That's how I see it. And I think that update is a way of streamlining the content that's in that filing cabinet. No, you've got to do better. No, that's already out there. No, that doesn't help anyone that's looking for the queries.
It's also why copywriters are now having to charge a lot more money because they have to do a lot more research, a lot more work. It has to be better written. And why, if you just have a chat GPT strategy, it's not going to get you anywhere.
I will say that, like, before I started this job, my concept of what a copywriter was probably based off of like the role 10 years ago and what it looked like then. And like since starting it now, there's so much more research and innovation that goes into creating copy.
And different angles.
It's not so straightforward, which is good. But
can I tell you mine?
Yeah.
Don't forget about anyway. I think it's AI, actually. I think the recent ones, I think they are going to be completely and utterly game changing.
Forgot about that bastard.
No, but you know, yours was a valid answer too, Erin. Don't worry. But mine's just better.
It's not a competition, ladies.
I'm winning.
Well, I think, in all fairness, that Rachel can see my phone because the next question was going to be.
I genuinely can't, even though I've got my glasses on, I genuinely can't. That is tiny writing.
They're actually just see-through lenses. She's just wearing them for
all
style. Oh, yeah! Right. Because my next question was going to be, what is your take on AI versus the search engines?
Tune into our previous episodes.
Yeah.
Plug.
Last month's episode was on this very thing. Is like how is AI going to change the world and change search engines? I mean, fundamentally is the answer. The short answer. I think it's going to potentially do away with search engines. Potentially be the end of the internet as we know it, Jen.
It's going to revolutionise the way that we interact with the web. With the internet, for sure.
Absolutely. And maybe it's not the end of the internet, maybe it's the, you know, if we're looking, maybe it's the beginning of something new, but it will be a seismic change because maybe we will go to AI for sort of questions that we've relied on the internet. So the internet will become a much more specialised place, or it will become a much more frivolous place, or, you know, something. I don't think the internet will ever go, but
it will evolve.
It will evolve, and I think platforms like Elon Musk's X, otherwise formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Meta, I think they will become our sort of vehicles into the internet, Jen. But I don't think we don't know yet, and it's going to be interesting to watch. But the big answer is a lot.
Yeah. Obviously, we're all Google queens, but do you ever use AI as a search engine, or are you kind of like, you shut it off?
No, I use it. Well, I mean, quite a lot of the time it's there, whether or not I want it or not. I don't have devices. Leon's got a device, which he uses all the time. I don't have one. But I'm not against it. I think Bing and Copilot, genuinely, some of their results have been better than Google's recently. I think Google is having a shocker of a time.
I interact with AI most days for work. Not for I wouldn't say I necessarily use it as like a search engine, but I use it to facilitate what I'm doing alongside search engines. It's part of my research process. I'm intrigued to see how my research process changes when AI is the go-to, or it's really integrated in search engines, which we're seeing start to happen now. I would say, and I've said this before, you know, when AI comes up at the top of your search engine results pages, I flick past that because it tells me
and I think that is a lot of people still do, and I think for a while a lot of people will. But I do think, like I said, you know,
the language models, ChatGPT, Bard, Gemini, whatever you want to call it, I use those. I think they're really useful tools. But in addition to the research I'm doing, I'm interested to see how that changes.
Yeah, I wish it was a thing when I was doing my degree. Because now, do you remember when you were writing a degree and you had to reference at the bottom?
Yeah.
Now you can just chuck all your links in and say reference this Harvard style.
Really?
And it'll do it for you, and I think that would have saved me.
There's a whole, you know, wormhole we can go down there in terms of academic research, but it'll fundamentally change that. It'll change essay writing.
Yeah.
You know, I know everything at the moment is put through AI detectors, but there are issues with that in itself. So, you know, how are we going to be able to tell whether students are writing unique essays? And does it matter? We're back to copyright. If a student, you know, if you have legitimately put all of your research and all of your points and you've trained that AI model, because people, I think, don't often realise, you don't have to take the first answer that ChatGPT gives you. You can train it.
Ask for more.
Yeah, ask for more. Say, go into a bit more detail about this. Tell me about that. Can you expand on this bit until you've got the answer you want? If a student is doing that with an essay to the point that they've then got, a 10,000 word essay out there, why is
That's
that
a
no
great
less
point,
written?
you know, because so we obviously, believe it or not,
Well done, Rachel.
no, we always advise against, you know, producing content that's AI written.
Yeah.
And the reason that we do that is that it has a watermark, essentially. AI produced content flags up on these search engines and therefore they don't prioritise it because of things like the helpful content update and they want human intervention. However, it's not watermarks for essays. You know, like, why can't it play its role in academia?
Yeah.
It's a great point.
I love the word academia.
Yeah, I felt well written.
Almost an academic.
Whoa.
Someone.
Well, that is the end of my questions,
Well, thank you
ladies.
for joining us. It's been
Yes,
fantastic.
thank you, Lani Bobs.
It was the honour of a lifetime.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And to our listeners, if you have any other questions about search or the internet that you would like for us to target, feel free to email them or get in touch with us on social or drop it in the comments and we would love to answer more in another Q&A session.
Yeah.
And start the hashtag bring Lani back.
Please don't. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
See
you.
you later.
See you later.